compliments of the season. My name is Deirdre Bartman, and I'm the chairperson of the Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism Committee, which we are convening today. On our agenda is consideration and adoption of draft committee report on the 2020-2022 annual reports of the Department of Economic Development and Tourism and its entities, which is West Coast Saldanha Bay IDZ Licensing Company, SOC Ltd, and Atlantis Special Economic Zone. Deliberations on the resolutions to be included in the draft committee report on the oversight visit to Pick and Pay Spaza shops in Langa. Consideration and adoption of the draft committee report on the oversight visit to the Pick and Pay Spaza shops in Langa. Deliberations on the resolutions to be included in the draft committee report on the public participation process, on the UIF temporary employer-employee relief scheme process, consideration and adoption of the draft committee report on the public participation process, on the UIF temporary employer-employee relief scheme process, and a set of minutes followed by resolutions and actions. Colleagues, I'm going to first allow you to introduce yourselves, and I also just would like to ask if we could please move the Spaza Shop report to be the first on the agenda. And the reason for that is just because Member Bosman kindly joined us on that particular oversight visit. He was acting chair at the time when I needed to leave the meeting, and I don't want to bother him with the other committee matters before us if he has other activities for the day that he needs to go and attend to, if that is in order with members.
That is in order, Chairperson, and good morning, everyone. My name is Matlodi Maseko, and I'm the member of the Standing Committee.
Morning.
Good morning, Honourable Chair and colleagues. It's fine with me. Andrikus van der Westhuizen, a member of this committee.
Morning, thank you.
Good morning,
my name is
Chairperson.
Nomin Kondlo, and I'm a member of the committee.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning, colleagues. I'm Gillian Postman, an alternate member of this committee.
Morning, thank you so much. I haven't received any specific apologies. Ms. Adams, have you received any?
Morning, Chair. Members, I have not received any apologies.
Okay. Ms. Adams, let's jump straight into the Spaza Shop report. I think let's go through the report and then we'll stop at the resolution section where members can identify if there's anything extra that they would like to add and so on. Thank you so much. Colleagues, all the documentation has also been forwarded to everyone. So I'm just going to take it that everyone has read it, but we're going to go through it page by page. We will also deal with the minutes of this this particular report then after this report, just so that we make sure everything's in order. This is page 1. Just check your attendance. The Spaza Shop report. Okay, let's go down. Okay, thank you. We can go down. Page 2, any edits? Okay, if none, page 3.
Can I check, Chairperson?
Member Nkondlo, sorry, Ms. Adams, if you can just stop quickly.
Yes.
They can still keep it online, but just stop for Member Nkondlo quickly.
On the observations there in the first, I think, here in the observations, I'm just wanting to check with the procedural officer whether do we have the exact amounts of the funding being referred to here in the observations from Pick and Pay and that of the department. Do we know what are the exact amounts of those for this project as it's recorded here?
Ms. Adams, if you can assist us.
Good morning, Member Nkondlo. I do not have that information, but do you want me to get it from the department? I can do it.
I see on page 4 under 4.3 that it was included that the Department of Economic Development and Tourism provides owners with a grant of 500,000 Rand. Perhaps what we could do is perhaps we should put it into a resolution that we request the extra information. Ms. Member Nkondlo, would that assist us?
Okay, we can go back to it on the resolution if that's the suggestion, Chair. I just, as it is mentioned I saw in that paragraph in the latter one, I would have thought that we would do the same in as far as all in the other sections, also indicating who is providing how much, which amount between the department, Pick n Pay and others. So I'm fine with that proposed approach to the resolutions still.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we'll put that one in the resolution when we get there. So we can continue on page 2. Okay, page 3. Any edits? Page 4.
On page 4, Chairperson.
Yes, Member Nkondlo.
I'm not sure. Is it page? I think I'm not getting the pages. There, the last sentence on Mr. Nchunche's shop visit. The last sentence.
3.12.
Yes, it says Mr. Nchunche lists the property that Nabe Market occupies as it is owned by Pick n Pay. So I just want to get clarity of that. If the shop is owned by Pick n Pay, it's get listed. I'm not understanding that because my recollection is that that is a family shop that Mr. Nchunche is leasing from the family. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to recall because it was a long time ago, but I'm not sure about the shop being owned by Pick n Pay because that shop has been there for years before Pick n Pay. So that is one sentence that I'm not understanding correctly, Chair. Maybe they're quoting.
I'm gonna ask the acting chair for that day just to assist us quickly because I wasn't at the physical oversight. So I don't want to say something and then it wasn't as is. Member Bosman, and then I see Member van der Westhuizen's hand. I love this new feature of MS Team that tells us which hands is first and second and so on. It's wonderful. Member Bosman.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, the property is owned by the Nabe family and not by Pick n Pay.
Okay. So, Ms. Adams, if we can just make a edit there, please. Just quick question, if it's owned by the Nabe family, do we need to still include the words leases because then doesn't that cancel it out? We just say the property is owned by the Nabe family. Member van der Westhuizen?
Mr. Nchunche does lease the property from the family. I think it's a family trust or something.
Okay. Member van der Westhuizen?
Thank you, Chair. I think it's correct what Honourable Gillian has said, and thank you very much also to Honourable Makama Botja for picking up on this. Can I just say... Nkondlo, my apologies. Mr. Nchunche leases the property from the Nabe family. I think that is short and sweet and will say everything we need to say. Okay. My apologies, Honourable Nkondlo.
No problem. Let's quickly just take that out. Yes, and the extra the. We can take the extra the out as well. Perfect. Thank you, colleagues. Let's go on to the next section. Mr. Assam, your hand was up.
It's a mistake.
No problem. Thank you so much. Page 5, Member Nkondlo, sorry. Ms. Kluter, if you can just pause there for us. Member Nkondlo.
On 4.5, Chair. the minutes reads, Ms. Dike indicated that another challenge was she had changed to a net bank account.
Okay.
It is my understanding, and the other members will clarify, it is my understanding that this is a requirement of Pick n Pay. It is not like Ms. Dike just changed to net bank account, and that was the source of unhappiness of Ms. Dike about the model. That, and Pick n Pay did explain that because they engage with different banks, and Nedbank at that point is providing them, I think, better servicing with service charges and blah, blah, blah. But Ms. Dike, this is one point that was making her unhappy, which she even left us there whilst we're talking as the members. So I'm just saying the manner in which it is presented here does not represent how it was presented by the store owner. Because I think she said she was with ABSA, if I'm not mistaken, ABSA or FNB for some time, and she was happy with that, but she had to change to Nedbank, which is something that the Pick n Pay explained why it is their requirement for their stores because of the benefits in negotiating with the banks that they're getting from Nedbank. Thanks.
So perhaps we should just put a second sentence in after the first, saying that having a net bank account is a requirement by Pick n Pay within the program. So that assists with clarifying that the reason why she changed to a net bank account. Members, you're going to have to assist me here because I wasn't on the physical oversight. Member Nkondlo, would this be an accurate reflection?
Actually, Chair, next to that sentence, another challenge was that she had to change to a net bank account, as that is the requirement of within the Pick n Pay. I think it could be put in that without even adding a sentence, but just adding there that it is a requirement within the Pick n Pay model.
Okay, that's fine. So we're writing the same thing, but we're just putting it in the first sentence, okay? Okay, and then we can take the second one out. And then just put a comma after account and a comma after model. Okay. Colleagues, are you happy with the edit?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let's go down. Okay, colleagues, this is the resolution section. I know Member Nkondlo had a specific resolution regarding the funding allocation respectively for the two programs. Are there any other resolutions? Member Nkondlo, is that a new hand? Is that an old hand? Okay, I'm going to take Member Bosman then in the meantime. Member Bosman.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I'm not sure if we can request this, but if we could get an update on the progress that Pick n Pay has made to address the issue of the banking fees. They promised that they were going to investigate and look into whether there was an option for people to stay with their banks, and maybe if they could give us an update on what happened with this specific case. And another one would be if Pick n Pay could tell us what the results of their interventions with the specific spaza shop was after some of the challenges. So there were some challenges with Tembi's market that we did not observe in the first one, and Pick n Pay promised us that they are busy addressing this. So if we could get an update on that. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Thank you so much. Ms. Kluter and Ms. Adams can also just help us with their fancy English there. Member van der Westhuizen.
Thank you, Chair. My proposals for resolutions would be that we request feedback on I've got three, the recruitment and selection processes used to identify potential market store owners. The second one is the opportunities for market store owners to add specific items to the PNP inventory and to engage with the PNP or Pick n Pay supply chain Chair, as you would have seen in the notes, one of the store owners indicated that there were some products which her customers would have loved to see, but because they don't form part of the general inventory of Pick n Pay, she is apparently not in a position to stock those items. And the third one is the typical amounts contributed to a Pick n Pay market store in Cape Town by the various role players, including Pick n Pay, the department, the City of Cape Town, etc. We were informed that, for example, the City of Cape Town assisted with the upgrading of electricity connections and so on, and apparently did that at either a subsidized fee or for free. And I think it would be interesting to know what is the total support given to those store owners in setting up such a market store. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Adams, did you get those? Ms. Klitter? Member Nkondlo?
No, thanks, Chair. Let me start with the latter one from Member van der Westhuizen. I think one, I fully support the notion of the 30% local supply. If Pick n Pay can indicate to date which of the market stores that are in operation are utilizing or have brought into the stock the 30% local supply, and what would be those type of products and how that is actually working. And related to that, Chair, I would recall in Mrs. Dike's visit, it was made clear that part of the problem was that flexibility is there, is that I'm not sure what you call that system, because there is that sort of tilling system, you know, where all the products of Pick n Pay are placed, because that is automated. Now, the challenge was in terms of accounting for those, even if at that point, my understanding of the conversation at that point, those particular products were not part of that automated system, making it difficult that you can even sell something there, it may not, if I had understood it well. But I would like to understand if that 30% local supply flexibility also has been integrated into their automated system so that those products can be accounted for as they are being sold. So I'm just hoping the procedural office get me, because I was just amplifying on the resolution by Member van der Westhuizen. The second one is on the electricity, because in the minutes you would see that part of the challenge that was raised was the electricity costs. So it's interesting for me. I would like to understand who is providing electricity in these. Is it from the municipality or is it Eskom? So that we can know, and what tariff rates are these shops paying. Because I would recall, as an example, I had to ask DDET to assist me with one shop that was recently opened. Actually, it was not recent. It was sometime last year in Delft.
Wow.
In Delft. So that particular shop had serious challenges, and it delayed even its launch because of electricity issues with Eskom. So that's why I'm trying to understand who is actually supplying the electricity. Is it directly from Eskom or is it the municipality? And either of them, what is the tariff that is being paid by these shops? This includes a question on the infrastructure required for these shops. Infrastructure in the form of that bulk electricity supply, including, you know, the related drainage and all of that. Are these things provided for? And I'm raising this because these were some of the challenges that are picked up, in particular in your township-based type of businesses, because at times the type of electricity capacity in these particular shops was sort of at a household level. So when these shops come in and they take the volumes, if that is the right word, you know, of electricity that they need, you find that either there will be electricity stoppages and the likes. So I'm trying to understand whether are those infrastructure-related issues? Is the municipality, between Pick n Pay and the municipality, are those issues at this point resolved? Do they have the necessary support in as far as the drainage system, as the electricity supply issues? So, Chair, I think at this point, the last one is, what if Pick n Pay can tell us what is the latest on the Guguletu store, the NY115 store, which at that point there was discussions between, I think, closing of that shop with all the problems that were being mentioned. So if we can get an update of what is the latest on that market store in N1115. Thanks.
No problem. I have a similar problem regarding Eskom and transformers in Laingsburg. And essentially whether you're in a municipality area or in an Eskom area is sometimes if there's more business coming into the areas, the transformers need to be upgraded. And then Eskom needs to come in, and then it's a whole hoo-ha. And it's one of those chicken and egg situations where they don't want to upgrade it unless they see more business, and there can't be more business unless the transformer is upgraded. So it's quite a bit of a problem, actually. Thank you so much for those. Are there any other resolutions or edits or anything like that? Okay, if none, I'm just going to quickly mute everyone because we're all unmuted at the moment. Okay, there we go. If there are no further edits, let's go to number 6. I'm going to just ask Ms. Klutan, Ms. Adams, you must just put all of that into your nice English for us, please. Thank you. Any edits? If none, if I could get a mover for the report with the edits, with condition that Ms. Adams and Klutan is going to put the resolutions in their fancy English. Member van der Westhuizen.
I propose that the report be adopted with these amendments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If I could have a seconder for the report. Member Bosman.
I second that, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. With that, the report is adopted. We're going to deal with the minutes of that particular day as well quickly. And I just want to say a special thank you to Member Bosman for standing in as alternate chair on the day. I had COVID during that time, so I really appreciate your standing in on such short notice. Okay, 25 minutes. Okay, let's go through page 1. Okay, page 2. Okay, page 3. Okay, if there are no edits, if I could have a mover for the minutes. Member Bosman.
Chair, I move that we adopt the minutes.
Thank you so much. Member van der Westhuizen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for assisting us in this and also for allowing us to put this at the top of our agenda before we move on to the other reports. With that, the report and the minutes are adopted. Member Bosman, should you have any other day-to-day activities that you need to go about, you're more than welcome to go forth. However, should you wish to stay, you're always welcome in the committee as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson. I do have other commitments, so I will go as much as I love your company.
Thank you so much. Bye. Okay. Colleagues, we're going to then continue then with the annual report of the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. Just get my notes. Okay. Still a bit weird to see the year 2022. Okay. Okay, colleagues, we're going to jump straight into the report. Let's start with page 1. The report was also emailed to everyone, so I'm going to take it that it's been read. Okay, if no edits, page 2. Okay, if no edits, page 3. Okay, page 4. Member van der Westhuizen, Ms. Krutte, if you can just stop there for us, please.
Sorry, Chair, you're a bit quick for me because I'm trying to follow on another screen my notes. Can I just, obviously on page 1, the copy that I received, the date must still be added there to the heading, but I think it's highlighted so that...
Yes, we've already added that date, yes.
That would happen. Then on in paragraph 3.1.1, and I'm sorry to take you back a page.
No problem. That's page 2, Ms. Krutte, 3.1.1. Okay.
3.1.1. In the middle of that paragraph, it says the department managed to open certain sectors in the province. It reopened the George Airport. Can I propose that we rather say it facilitated the reopening of the George Airport? Because I don't think the department is able to open an airport without the airport company doing their bit as well. But my impression was that it facilitated, it engaged with the airports company, it identified the problems, one being, the testing of passengers' temperatures and so on. And then the department stepped in and provided representatives from the Department of Health to fulfill that function, which then allowed the reopening of the airport.
Perfect, thank you. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. Do you have any other edits on that page?
Down on that page, thank you, Chair. Can I then go on to paragraph 321?
321, can you go to page 3, Ms. Krutte? There we go.
321 says one of the challenges faced by the Saldanha Bay was the revitalization of the South African maritime industry. May I propose that we rather say that one of the opportunities identified by the Saldanha Bay IDZ, the challenges comes to the lack of capacity in the ports and so on, which is referred to later on in that very same paragraph. But I think my recollection is that they said because only 5% of the huge number of vessels that come past every year, that sector can be expanded, and therefore my impression was that it was rather an opportunity that is actually posing itself, and that the Saldanha Bay IDZ do see a role for themselves in that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I do know we did in 2019, I think our committee commissioned research on energy regarding Singapore and Malaysia and Japan. But I do know that ports that apparently are doing quite well are, I think it's Rotterdam, I think there's one in Belgium, there's one in Singapore, and I think there is also a one in Malaysia. And I'm wondering if maybe as part of our ongoing research, given the connection between energy and ports, if we shouldn't just ask the research office also to assist us with research on best practices on ports as well. But that might also assist us after we have our World Bank and Transnet meeting as well. But that's perhaps something we can consider later. Let's quickly go down. We can deal with this first. Okay, that's the end of page 3. Page 4. Okay, we can just pause there for the committee. This was what was requested by the committee in the meeting. Okay, it was the report on the implementation and impact of the FinTech degree. The report on the MER. It was the red tape reduction initiatives and the TERS companies assisted, and email lists. Yeah, I remember that, 4.2. Okay, members, is there anything for editing there? If none, we can go down to the next page. Okay, and that's just us thanking the relevant persons for attending and assisting us with the information. Colleagues, if there are no further edits, apologies, if there are no further edits, if we can get a proposer, Member van der Westhuizen.
I propose that this report be adopted with the amendments as agreed to in this meeting.
Thank you so much. If I can get a seconder for the document, Member Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I second the move to support.
Thank you so much. With that, I'm going to ask, let's leave the rest of the set of minutes to after the next report, because the next report is quite lengthy. Okay, so let's quickly deal with the UIF report. Member Maseko?
Sorry, Chair Legacy.
No problem. Thank you so much. Colleagues, it is a lengthy report, and again, I'm going to take it as we did read it beforehand, so please do stop me if there is a particular edit on a particular page. Okay, this is just the front page. Let's go to page 1. Okay, that is just the fact that it's the draft report. We'll change the word draft. We'll take it out once it's the report. Then we're on page 2. That is just the index. Page 3, purpose of the report. Page 4, background and context. Okay, page 5, that's breakdown of COVID-19 turns public participation process, and that's the start of 3.1 as well. Okay, page 6, 3.1. Member van der Westhuizen. Member van der Westhuizen.
Thank you. If we could just go back to, I think it was that page 3.
Page
the
3,
word,
yes.
The word is the gauge, G-A-G-E. I think it should be G-A-U-G-E.
Quickly go to page 3, Ms. Klutter. By 3.1.
Sorry, if I speak of page 3, it's a little bit lower down. On the paragraph 3.
Sentence number 3 under 3.1.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. No, stick to 3.1. Go back up. Sentence number 3. The first reason was to gauge the participants' experience. The word gauge, is it correct? Is it spelled correctly?
I think we've got it now. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go down. Page 6, and then it starts 3.2 there, and then, okay, page 7, Member Nkondlo. Quickly stop there, Ms.
I think it's in page 5 and page 6. I wanted to check in the section that indicates the stakeholders that were invited. I just wanted to check, Chair, whether I saw, I think in the latter section where we mention the number of respondents. And now my question is, do we not a sort of table the stakeholders invited and stakeholders that have responded, but also the number of responses we received from the effort and the investment we made to reach out? Because I think for me, in particular in our endeavor to increase public participation, that information is very important. And even if it was placed in a table form to say these are the stakeholders, including the employers that have responded, not necessarily their names, but the number, if there were any that have responded, because I didn't find that information reading through the report.
Okay, in terms of, Ms. Klutter, just hang on quickly, Ms. Klutter. The matrix of the submissions for the UIF COVID test process and the non-COVID, so everything that we got in from the public is an Annexure F, and it's an Annexure G. So everything that we got in from the public is included in the report. It's part of the annexures. We don't usually say this. We don't usually list the stakeholders we emailed because Ms. Adams has her database that she works on. But we also included in our annexures the Government Gazette, where it was published. We published in our annexures in Annexure B the Cape Argus article where we published. We published in Annexure C the survey where we published. We published in Annexure D all of the adverts in all of the newspapers which we published, which was the Argus, Burger, Swartland Journal, Isolezwa, George Herald, Die Son, Westlander, Paul Post, and Worcester Standard. We published the letter of the Office of the Speaker where we requested the paid social media policy, and Annexure F and G specifically, the same way where we blacked out the names and said, for example, Employer 1, Employer 2, we published, that will be pages, I'm not going to go through all the pages because we went through that in committee, but page 28 of this report up until page 80 of this report is just the annexures of employer one said and employee one said and exactly what they said, and you will see that the information is blacked out just so that their personal information isn't published. I hope this assists.
Chair, you see, what I'm looking for is not necessarily because that's the raw data. For me, when you're writing a report, you know, the intention of the drafting of a report is to actually summarize in the interest of making a particular point from the raw data. So I get the fact that that information is here somewhere. But what I was raising is that from a public participation point of view and demonstrating our effort and what we have learned, it is important for me to say in the report, you would have a section on the public participation effort, because that was exactly what this thing was about. And I think there is a section where I think in the draft, it mentioned 70 people that have responded, and there's even a graph. I was just saying in that particular section, actually there's a pie chart that even indicates where these are coming from. Yes, I'm saying in that what I'm requesting is actually a section or just an input in the write-up that will have a table of the stakeholders that were invited from our side, you know, in terms of inputs, the numbers that we have received, employers, employees, not their names, the number of employees, the number of from the employers, which then gives us some kind of an indication of the traction. Remember, this is what we were also discussing for the 5 days there about the effort we put in the investment in as far as public participation, but we are always receiving a smaller feedback. So that needs to be highlighted in the report. I think that is what I was trying to mention with my limited English. Thanks, Chair.
No problem. In terms of the breakdown of what we received, that is on page 8 under 4.1 with the table and so on. In terms of the stakeholders, we can quickly stop there by 3.3. I know we're not there yet in terms of the report, but I'll just quickly read out what is written there so far. 3.3, Ms. Kluter, that's page 7. That's before 4. 4 is the analysis part. 4, 5, and 6 is the analysis of the public participation. Let's quickly stop at 3.3. We're still on the process stuff. There we go. So a letter was sent to all business chambers, organizations, and trade unions based in the Western Cape to request that they provide submissions on the UIF COVID-19 TERS process and or to assist by forwarding the information to their members. A letter was also sent to all speakers, municipal managers, and mayors of the various municipalities across the Western Cape requesting participation in the process and or assistance in spreading the information to employers and employees within their reach. Western Cape Provincial Parliament's Public Education and Outreach Unit assisted the committee by forwarding the information and request for participation to its stakeholders, as well as Community Development Worker Network. And then obviously we also worked with the Parliamentary Monitoring Group in this particular regard. My suggestion is perhaps at the end of the 3 paragraphs, we include another annexure, and that we call that annexure, well, let's see here quickly. Annexure H. Am I correct, Ms. Adams? Annexure H. And then we, in Annexure H, we then include who we emailed. So we've obviously already put it in newspapers. We've emailed it to people. We worked with the parliamentary monitoring group and so forth. And so then in Annexure H, what we do is we do then that table that Member Nkondlo is speaking about to, okay, so that we show these are the people we've emailed. Member Nkondlo, would that assist us?
Yes, Chairperson.
No problem. Thank you so much. Colleagues, we were on page 6, but since we've dealt with 3.3, now I'm going to go straight to 3.4. If there's any edits. Okay, if none, page 8, 4.1, the results, the different types of submissions received and how we received them and what they were about. Okay, page 9. That is the table, that was the pie graph that we asked for regarding regions where there's information available. Okay, 4.2. 5, that was the engagement we had, with the UIF. 5.1 was the response. Okay. 5.1 continues on page 11. Then outstanding responses and unresolved claims. To date, we have not received a UIF report on these matters that we've requested. So that's just an update on that. And then page 12 is recommendations, resolutions, and actions. Our concluding remarks we'll deal with now. Let's just deal with this recommendations, resolutions, and actions. I do think that we may need to write to the Minister regarding, or the Minister of Labour regarding the fact that we still haven't gotten our written report regarding the UIF. And the problem with this is especially it affects the procedural officer quite greatly, because people are checking up with her as to where the matters are, even though the UIF specifically is supposed to address them, and then to simply report to say, okay, matter A has been addressed by this date, you know, matter B has been addressed, so that we are able to follow up on what we've received. Because I do think there is an expectation from the public that because we said, what are your challenges, that we need to at least be able to be like, okay, Department of Labour, UIF, why are you not responding to people still? Colleagues, would you be happy with this? Okay, I'm going to take silence as agreement. Is there any other resolutions? Member van der Westhuizen?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've got 3 resolutions that I would like to propose. And the first one, and perhaps if you wouldn't mind, we can elevate that and put it fairly early on, is a recognition that the TERS provided much needed relief to employers and employees. And my wording that I currently have, and it's open for amendment, that it be recognized that the TERS provided much needed relief to employers and employees under the unusual circumstances when many entities were unable to continue with their normal business activities. So that's my first proposal. The second one is that all organs of government recognize the enormity of certain initiatives, the limited capacity of government to move swiftly and to project manage such innovations, and to ensure that sufficient resources are allocated to ensure the effective implementation thereof. I think it speaks for itself, Chair, but TERS was, you know, an enormous and wonderful innovation, but I felt for the UIF, I don't think they were quite prepared to implement this. And I think also we as a government, a provincial government, could do well to heed the fact that, you know, quite often we do not have the nimbleness in our government to quickly act on this. And then the last one is more all out and out a recognition, resolution for the Western Cape Provincial Parliament that the WCPP consider revising its advertising policy to include alternative and electronic media, including social media platforms. As you will recall in the report, we've said that initially this committee wanted to approach those affected by this initiative of ours via social media platforms, and we were unfortunately stifled in this regard. Fortunately, then other groups did it on our behalf and forwarded the message. But I do believe that we should look internally also to our policies in terms of advertising when we want public participation. Thank you, Chair. I'm able to send this on to our procedural officer in written format. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Thank you so much. Member Nkondlo.
Thank you, Chair. The first one, Chair, I think if we recall in the conversation, also we would have received the report by the UIF, also in as far as the outstanding investigation that was being done with those employers that some didn't pay or some had received the monies, but those monies were not paid to the requisite beneficiaries. So I am sure as we write to the minister, can we also ask an update with those companies, particularly in the Western Cape, that such matters are still outstanding. So if we can include that to the letter that is being written to the minister. But also, Chair, I would think in support of what Member van Versteysen has raised, that maybe we may need to engage our own NCOP colleagues, to take up this matter in the NCOP and also in the NA, because it is true that when this happened, it exposed a lot of challenges in the labor system that we have at this point. Particularly, I think I'm not going to repeat the issues that you have raised, but the monitoring and evaluation capacity of the UIF and the Department of Labor, the enforcement capacity that is grossly lacking, because some of these things that were raised, that the employees, some of them only at that tail end would have found out that actually their employers had never registered them, because that was another issue that was raised, that some of the employers would have registered a particular number of employees and not the other, and some of those that would have been applying, and it happens that they've not been paid for or not have been registered as UIF beneficiaries. So that shows a glaring challenge in as far as M&E system, but also the enforcement system of both the Department of Labor and the UIF. So I'm just saying, I think this is a matter that needs to be discussed, because I think in the committee that is responsible at the National Assembly, I think we would need to find out how is this matter being attended to in the process improvements, which UIF, I think, was mentioning. We need to get an update if in any way such is being discussed, including because I remember one of the recommendations one had made, and I think both yourselves, Chair, and I think in one meeting where also the minister was raised, you mentioned this, that it is not the purview of the province, it's national. So if we can put this, because we need to know how is this conversation being raised with the private sector in particular, whether through NEDLEC or any other platform where the Department of Labor is engaging with the employer associations, because I would have assumed that even in the Western Cape, there is some conversation of a Minister of Economic Development with the employers. So for me, that is something that needs to be put to those conversations to try and encourage and engage with the employers if there are any challenges in as far as compliance on matters of labor, because indeed COVID-19 proved what Member van der Versteysen was raising. Whilst this was a great intervention of the UIF tiers, but many could not benefit because of some of the challenges around the compliance on that particular score. So I'm just raising, I think that is also another point for me that needs to be highlighted with the employer associations to try and improve, because fortunately we do have the data based on that investigation of those employers that are non-compliant. So those can be raised in those particular platforms in as far as that is concerned. So I think it's an issue that I'm asking that such be also included, the engagement with the employer association coordinator. I think my issue is the engagement with the employer associations to improve compliance in as far as registration of employees for UIF for this particular cases of emergencies. The last one, Chair, I think is on our public participation. I think it's a matter that we continue to engage, and I think ourselves, we must recognize once again the extra effort we put in place to improve, and speak or do things out of the box, in as far as public participation is concerned. I think that recognition, we must give it to ourselves, because this was also one of an innovative ways, us as the committee, to reach out to the citizens. But I think we must continue to place the concern about the traction, because one, as you look at the report, it says out of the employees that have responded, only 70, majority being in the metro, the city of Cape Town, which is 50 of them, and very few from non-metro, which is where we know there is a serious challenge of people access labor, Department of Labor offices. So I'm just saying, I think we must place that on record, that even with our effort, perhaps something more as we are learning about public participation needs to be done. And perhaps as part of that, how do we engage our public outreach and education office, to also assist us, and maybe this Department of Labor offices, to also utilize our own constituency offices with information. Because I know for a fact that in my office in Somerset West, I always have challenges of people on the other side of the mountain, that is Hermanas, because, they do not have an office there, and they are sent. And if you look at Hermanas and Somerset West, that is quite a distance. And sometimes transport is very poor between those particular areas. But people on the other side are expected to utilize the Department of Labor office in Somerset West. Actually, I've even written to the person there, the manager, till to date, from the period of COVID till to date, I've not been able to have a meeting with that office. So I'm just saying, Chair, somehow we need to see to it that the Department of Labor with our public education office on matters of labor, they need to assist and support ourselves as members to help them as an extension around labor relations information that is of public interest. Thanks.
No problem. In terms of the engaging the NCOP, I think what we also need to add, and what we need to ask the NCOP to look at, is the severe amount of system failures, including IT system failures that the UIF had. I mean, one of the things that they essentially came to us about was when they basically said that their systems can't handle the amount of people. But then my question essentially was at the time, like, what were you doing before COVID? Because if your system wasn't in place before COVID, then obviously it's going to start failing after one COVID hit. But also with the system failures that they need to look at is, like Member Mkondlo said, the challenges regarding compliance. And we've seen in this UIF public hearings that we've had that both employers and employees had massive problems with compliance. We made, for example, I remember Member van der Westhuizen make an example of how he personally phoned to see whether the phones actually work. Myself, I checked online, how does one register, and like how many pages it takes to fill in and how many pages you have to read through in order to first understand how the website works. I think they need to also look at what the severe administrative burden upon employees and employers with regard to providing data, which is already within government systems. And at the budget workshop, something that we mentioned was that SARS really needs to look at assisting other governmental departments with automating data that is already available within government systems, so that that doesn't need to be something that you as an employer already, like, still needs to fill in. I mean, when you do your taxes, there are things in the SARS system that's automatically that you can't change because SARS has already put it in for you. And there's no reason why we can't use similar systems across government departments where, you know, things are already automated and only the very necessary things, like, for example, when you have a high turnover of staff, obviously you're going to take staff off, you're going to put staff on the system, new staff, and so on, in order to register them. So there's no reason why a system like that, which is electronic, and especially like for the website also to be much more user friendly. I found and I received feedback from businesses just that how they were struggling with simply just filling in the documentation, and sometimes people felt like they were committing a crime because they would get if Deirdre and Andrikus got money at the same time that the employer, like, you know, applied for, you know, they might be getting money for Deirdre, but they might not be getting money for Andrikus. So what they would do is they would be sharing the money amongst everyone so that everyone can have food on the table. But the problem is the law doesn't allow you to do that. So if someone finds out, you know, they also run into legal problems. But the other side of the coin is, how do you make sure that your staff still have food on the table? Yeah, for me that was quite significant. One of our particular people who contacted us stopped paying themselves as an employer in order to put food on the table for staff members. So the compliance, the system failures, and the administrative burden was absolutely grotesque. In terms of the NCOP, I also think the NCOP can look at more unscheduled oversight visits to Labour departments. And if they also do those, they can invite us if it's in our province, obviously. And I think that will also assist us. And I completely agree with, for example, engaging constituency officers. I think Mbonkondo is a little bit more privileged than myself with having a constituency office. I don't have one. My constituency office is wherever my laptop is and there's coffee, and I essentially work out of my boot. So I tend to just print things out on paper and just put it in post boxes and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I think I have one last one, and that relates to what I was speaking about regarding the IT and administrative failures. Is I do think that SARS needs to come to the table and work with the different government departments, including the Department of Labour and UIF, to automate some of their systems and to automate some of their data and to work together on this. And SARS can't even say that they can't do it, because I know that they do it with SIPS and with the Department of Trade and they changed their name so quickly. Trade and Industry and Competition. Am I correct, Ms. Adams? So I know they work with that department in this regard. Okay, if there are no other resolutions, then we can go to the concluding remarks. Okay, so this was concluding remarks, which was noted at our last meeting on the UIF. So that was, one was the level of frustration, which was noted, the difficulty in the experiences and the new challenges. It was the public service being disrupted, and the members of public contacting the WCPP regarding the matter. And then it goes forward regarding the committee thanking our procedural administrative staff, and really we need to pray every day to thank for having Ms. Adams and Ms. Klute and Ms. Motsapi with us, because just organizing this public hearing, you know, doing the public participation. I mean, we even had WhatsApp in our public participation, organizing that we get the documentation in the correct format. They liaised with the legal department back and forth regarding making sure that we don't contravene the POPI Act. We had to put this, we had to put the briefings and the public participation in oral and written together. We had to put this report together, which took them a very long time. I mean, in the current format, the report is already about 80 pages. I think this is the longest report we've written to date. So I really would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the amount of work you've put into this. And for even during December, we were still getting complaints from people, from the public, and we were constantly trying to solve their respective matters. So thank you so much for assisting this committee in this regard. Colleagues, I'm not going to go through all the annexures, but I will read what the annexures are that are attached. And I'll read which the edited version is as well. Annexure A is the Government Gazette, where we published the advert. Annexure B is the Cape Argus article, where they wrote about what we're doing. Annexure C is the Western Cape Provincial Parliament website questionnaire query. And that was also on the Parliamentary Monitoring Group. And I would like to thank the Parliamentary Monitoring Group for also assisting us during this process, because with their help, they also assisted with increasing the reach to the public. Annexure D was the adverts in the different newspapers. Annexure E is the letter of the Office of the Speaker, where we requested the social media policy. Annexure F was the matrix of submissions of the UIF process. Annexure G was the submissions of the non-COVID TERS matters. And then Annexure H, which we will be including, which will just be a list of the emails sent to the stakeholders, or list of stakeholders emails were sent to, essentially. Ms. Adams and Ms. Critter will put it in a nice table format of some sort for us. To stakeholders. You don't, you can just say list of stakeholders emailed, because I'm not sure if we're allowed to publish the email addresses, so maybe just write list of stakeholders emailed. There we go. Perfect. Thank you so much. Colleagues, with that and all the amendments, and with the trust that Ms. Kluter and Ms. Adams will assist us with their wonderful English, could I please have a proposer for the report? Member van der Westhuizen.
Chair, I propose that the report be adopted with those few amendments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Member Nkondlo.
I support, Chair.
Thank you so much. With that, the report is adopted. Colleagues, thank you so much. Firstly, I just want to say thank you to you for also going through this very difficult process of the UIF. It's something that has affected so many of our constituents, and it's these type of matters that we need to continuously fight for to ensure that people get what they deserve. Yes. We still have, I think, 3 sets of minutes that we quickly need to run through. Ms. Adams, if we can start with September's one, because we've already done the other spaza shop one. Thank you. Okay, colleagues, you can just check your attendance there. Okay, page 1. Okay, page 2. Okay, if I could have a mover for the minutes, if there's no edits. Member van der Westhuizen.
I propose that the minutes be adopted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. If I could get a seconder for the minutes. Going once. Going twice. Is there no seconder for the minutes? Members Maseko and Members Makondlo, you are both in that meeting as well. Member Nkondlo?
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. I got
No
distracted
problem.
today.
Thank you so much. It's okay. It's our first meeting for the year. We're getting into it. Luckily it's not that difficult things that we're dealing with in the first one. Thank you so much. Let's go to the 7th of December. 10. Let's see. No, we don't need to do the November one. That was the spaza shop one. We've already adopted that one.
So, Chair, the November one is the annual report. It's not the August one.
Is it not? Oh, guys, okay, then I'm confused.
24th of November was the annual report.
Okay, okay, so put it up, sorry, put it up. Of Provincial Treasury. No. Okay, Ms. Adams, you're going to have to assist me here. Okay, let's see here quickly.
It was DDAT's annual report, deliberations and the entities.
Okay, perfect. Page 1. Okay, if no edits, page 2. Okay, page 3. Okay, let's go further. Page 4. If there are no edits, if I can get a mover for the minutes. Member van der Westhuizen. Member Maseko.
I propose that we adopt the minutes.
Thank you so much. Member Maseko.
I second the proposal.
Thank you so much. With that, the minutes are adopted. Ms. Adams, we can go to the next one. Okay, so we're starting with the 2 o'clock one first. I think there was a 10:30 one first. Okay, that's fine. We'll do the 2 o'clock one. Member Maseko, is that a legacy hand? Okay, I'm just going to lower your hand.
Yeah, it seems I'm specializing in that.
Okay. Okay, 7 December, 2 o'clock. Let's check our attendance. And we can go down to page 1. There we go. Page 2. Okay, let's see. Page 3. Thank you so much. If there are no edits, if we can have a mover for the minutes. Member van der Westhuizen. Member Maseko.
I move that we adopt the minutes, Chair.
Second the move.
Thank you so much. Minutes are so adopted. And I believe we're on our last set of minutes. Ms. Adams, please tell me I'm correct.
Correct.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Let's check our attendance quickly. That's also 7 December. That's 10:30. Page 1. Okay, page 2. Okay, short and sweet. Member Maseko, I see your hand.
I move that we adopt, Chair.
Thank you so much. Member van der Westhuizen.
Second that.
Thank you so much. With that, the minutes are adopted. Colleagues, I have nothing else from my side. If there's anything else.
May I raise something, please? Just 2 points that I find interesting. The first one is perhaps if we could just get clarity on the Western Cape policy to determine the time at which a meeting takes place. I do know that some entities use 14:8:00, but I think in many other cases it's a double punt, which is used between the hours and the minutes. And perhaps we could just, get clarity on that. And the second one is just on the third last document that we approved, the attendance register was indicated as an annexure, and I'm not sure if that annexure is saved together with this document, which I would obviously like us to consider including it as part of the document so that when the records are filed and are made available to the public, that attendance register will also be visible to people going to that set of minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask our procedural officer just to assist us on this. To my knowledge, I don't think there's necessarily a policy, but I think in terms of writing and grammar, either the double punt or the H in writing is accepted, but I'm speaking under correction. Ms. Adams, Ms. Kluter?
Thank you, Chair. I think we've used either both, but I can double check on that in terms of what we need to use, and then I'll just stick to that consistently, whichever one it is. With the annexure, apologies, usually when we give it in person, it's attached, but of course as a separate document, but it is usually when it's filed with that attendance register, so it's available to everyone.
Thank you for that feedback. Are there any other matters? If none, colleagues, thank you so much for starting the year off so early in committee and with myself in order to get some of our administrative matters out of the way. Please do keep an eye on the parliamentary program. Majority, if not all, of our meetings for the term have already been tabled on the program in the first draft quarterly program last year already. So I'm hoping that won't change in terms of the new programming meeting, but please do keep an eye on the Parliamentary Programming Committee documentation, just so that you know when our respective committee will be sitting. I do know the Parliamentary Oversight Committee also made an agreement last year to move our Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism Committee to Fridays, similar to another committee which I think was Human Settlements, just so that because there's always been a lot of clashes with our committees on Wednesdays, which prevents our committees from sitting. So just please keep an eye on the changes coming up in the Parliamentary Programming Committee. Thank you so much. With that, if there's no other matters, the meeting's adjourned. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Goodbye.